Welcome back to another episode of Lone Star College Football. We got Logan in the building with us.
Yes, sir. How y'all doing?
And doing good. We're going to talk about the 5 stars. We're going to talk about the 4 5 stars that Texas currently has in this recruiting cycle, as well as 2 4 stars who are borderline, maybe 3 4 stars, borderline 5 star players. What I think they can do immediately coming into the program, and just the class in general is shaping up to be really good. So we're going to get into that right after the intro.
Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up.
All right. We have 4 5 star players, and we'll go ahead and do the 3 4 star players. One of them's kind of lower. He's not as high ranked, but there's been some reporting that says out of our 4 stars, he might be the most likely to actually get that 5th star bump. So we'll get into him, and I'll tell you him when we get there. I'm not going to just give it away right off the bat. But before we get into it, do us a favor, like the video. Leave us a comment on how you think this year's recruiting class is going and who's going to play the most. And subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to ring that bell so you don't miss another episode of Lone Star College Football. Obviously, the first guy we're going to talk about is Arch Manning.
Yep.
He's a .9999. Should be a 1.0. They bumped him. Honestly, I have no clue why. Number 1 player in the country from Newman High School in New Orleans, Louisiana. And he's a Manning. We all know him. We know he's coming to Texas. We know he's going to be an early enrollee. We don't necessarily know if he'll play in year 1 or not. I think he'll redshirt and try to get in those 4 games that you're allowed to play in. Some people think he'll play because they don't think there'll be any development with Quinn, and they think Malik might transfer out. That's not really my opinion. I could see it happening, but I don't think that's how it plays out. Logan, you got anything to add on Arch?
So I've been thinking about this ever since they bumped him from the 1.0. I'm starting to think that the recruiting services were just like, all right, we're getting too much stuff from these people saying, oh, he's only a 1.0 because his last name's Manning, this, that, and the other.
That would be from the groups of the Aggies, the Sooners, and then the 2 teams that were really pushing after Arch and lost, which would be Alabama and Georgia.
Yep.
I guarantee you, if Arch Manning goes to Bama or Georgia, he is still a 1.0.
Oh, for sure.
100%.
But
100%.
Personally, that's just what I'm thinking of why he's not the 1.0, because it makes no sense. Why drop him a .0001?
Right. Well, that and the fact that there's only been 2 other perfect 1.0s, and both of them have put on that beautiful burnt orange in their college football careers. So
yeah, they have done that, haven't they?
They have. Getting into our second highest rated recruit, Anthony Hill out of Denton, Ryan, Texas.
This is a great pickup for y'all.
Yeah, a .9900. I think Anthony Hill probably is the guy in this recruiting class that gets the absolute most playing time next year, as the linebacker position is a serious position in need with DeMarvion Overshown declaring for the draft. And we don't know about Jalen Ford yet. He hasn't.
That's a big thing for me, though, because if he's playing with Jalen Ford for at least a year or maybe 2.
Nasty.
Dude,
no way we get 2 more with Ford. No way.
I was just trying to be hopeful. But if Jalen comes back next year and he can show Anthony Hill how college football works, that dude is going to be a menace. Menace.
I completely agree.
I think he starts at least half the games next season.
I think he starts all of them. Unless there's like a, now that Georgia has lost and Ohio State has lost, we might see some transfer portal guys from them. Unless there's a stud linebacker that goes into the portal and Texas gets, I don't look at our roster and think of any of the other linebackers other than Jalen Ford, who I'm like, yeah, I think they'll probably push him for playing time. Let me just get to the stats real quick. Right off the top of my head, well, the hard part is knowing what year they're in. Ovie Ogofu, he's a linebacker / defensive end. He's not going to play that role. Tucker Dorsey, I'm pretty sure he was a grad transfer. He's not going to be there.
Man, the
Um,
story on that guy is crazy.
right, yeah. David Benda, he's not that guy. Jed Bush is not that guy. Uh, Devin
I've only
Richardson, I think
recognized two
he's
of those
leaving.
names. So,
Right, exactly. Right. Yeah. Enough said. Enough said
yeah,
on that. Anthony Hill, Lord willing, he's healthy. He'll play 12, 13 games, however many games. Hopefully we get 13. Hopefully we get a bowl game. Moving into the third player on our list is C4, Cedric Baxter Jr., listed at from Edgewater, Orlando, Florida. The number one running back in the country, number 5 in the state, a .9893. The way Logan talks about him, this might be his favorite. I feel like this is the guy you talk about the most. This might be your favorite person in our class. If you have a favorite in our class, it seems like Cedric Baxter might be that guy.
it's tough between him and Jonte. I don't know. I like both
Jonte.
of them. I think this is going to be some great pieces for y'all here in the next coming years.
Oh,
Cedric Baxter could have very, very good runs for y'all, like as far as his snap counts that he's going to get,
you
depending
think
on
so?
how. Possibly. I mean, look at how Baylor ran their 3 guys. I mean, we
Yeah, but
had 4 guys with over 100 carries.
I was almost thinking that out of our 4 or 5 stars, this is probably technically Arch Manning is probably
Yeah,
the guy
Arch
that
is going
plays
to
the
get the
least, but
least.
I wouldn't be surprised if Cedric Baxter's redshirted. And
I don't.
here's the deciding factor. Yesterday or the day before, Jaden Blue, for those of you who don't know, he's one of our highly rated 5 stars. He skipped his senior season, comes to Texas, sits all year. He scrubbed Texas from his social media.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it. Players have done that before. Xavier Worthy did it, hasn't left. It doesn't
Yet.
necessarily mean
Yet.
anything yet. True. Worthy hasn't left yet. We'll see. But if he leaves, then yeah, Cedric Baxter comes in and probably gets to see the field a little bit more than he would have.
Yeah.
But I don't know as if as of right now, as it sits, where he'd come in as our 4 back, I would say he's probably going to redshirt and not play too terribly much.
My thing with him though is that the only way I feel like he's gonna stay, potentially, hear me out, is that him and Steve have already agreed that he's in a red shirt, or that he knows for sure that he's gonna get limited snaps. Because a dude like this, a high caliber 5 star, number one running back in the nation, comes in thinking he might have a shot to go for that second string spot, is and then he doesn't get any snaps next year and he's just like, oh yeah, here's your red shirt without saying anything. I'd be pretty mad if I was him. But
I
I'm gonna
mean,
assume that they've already had that conversation and he's not blind enough to see that y'all have 4 very high 4 and 5 star guys already in y'all's running back room at the same time.
right. So looking back, Jaden Blue was a 4-star running back in last year's class.
Yep.
And he's eligible for redshirt. He hasn't played in that many games this year. I will say, I get what you're saying, but I don't know as if that really. At Texas, I think it's a little bit different than some schools where you stack talent and Jonathan Brooks, he's a class of 2021. So, this will be his 3rd
Yeah.
year and he's just now,
True.
he got to play in a garbage time against Kansas in a bowl game. So, I get what you're saying. You're not wrong, but I think there are some programs and only some positions. Like quarterback is tough. It is tough.
Yeah. Quarterback is real hard to sit.
But receivers, when you get to play 3 of those almost on every down, you can stack a little bit there.
Yeah.
So we'll see what he does. Number 4, we got Jonte Cook from out of DeSoto, Texas. .9836. I think I would have said Jonte would get a lot more snaps if Casey Kane didn't just ball out in that bowl game.
Yeah.
If he can practice well and keep doing that, I think that might limit Jonte. I think he is a guy, though, that Sarkisian's going to want to get him on the field, which worries me because Brennan Thompson and Savion Red didn't really get to do much this year, and I really like both of those guys. And so that's the tough part.
For those reasons you just said about Brennan Thompson and the other guy, I just slipped my mind. I think I think Jonte could potentially redshirt as well. I mean, y'all have so much talent as far as stars in y'all's on y'all's bench. It's crazy. I mean,
I would
coming from
say
Baylor fan, he
I,
could fit. Y'all have a lot of
I
talent on
see
receiver.
I see a greater chance of one of those guys, Savion or Brennan, hopefully it's not Brennan, transferring out and him moving up a spot than him sitting a year. If he sits a year, I think he's probably gone. Like
I think it'd
you're
be
the
Savion
number
Red to transfer.
you're the number 35 player in the country, and it's different, right? When you're Cedric Baxter, theoretically, if Jonathan Brooks goes out next year and has 1,400 yards and 15 touchdowns, he's draftable.
Yeah,
Right? And then Keelan Robinson's been here for 3 years, one at Bama. He could be gone. And you're looking at Cedric Baxter next year being the number one guy. So that's different when you're that high rated and you're like, okay, here's my path to being the number one guy. But when you're Jonte and you're coming in and now you've got Xavier Worthy, you've got Isaiah Nayor, you've got Casey Kane, Brendan Thompson, Savion Red.
yep,
And I'd be lying if I said I don't think we'd probably go after a receiver in the transfer portal. You're not coming in to be number 7 or 8.
yeah,
I don't know.
true,
Uh,
true.
moving to the next guy. So this is a 4-star who is just on the cusp. Actually, both of these, the next two 4-stars are listed at a .9813. Okay, so 9813 is a 4-star, but 9836 is a 5-star. So they're just barely off of that mark. Jonte Cook's the number 35 player in the country, where Malik Muhammad and Derek Williams are tied at 41. So there's only 6 spots difference. Malik Muhammad out of South Oak Cliff, Dallas, Texas. He's a defensive back corner. I think him and Derek Williams, we'll link them together just because they're both DBs. One's a corner, one's a safety. Okay, Derek Williams is impressive. Kind of almost along the same lines as Arch Manning. You know, LSU is the best team in the country at keeping in-state talent in-state. And the fact that Texas poached the number one offensive player in the country from LSU and the number one defensive player in the country from LSU, that's kind of crazy. That doesn't happen. I think I saw a list that said LSU has gotten the number one player in the state of Louisiana like the last 12 years. And Texas broke that streak. So
Goodness.
Those two guys, I see Malik Muhammad getting it's tough too because man, Terrence Brooks played really well in that bowl game. I would have said that Malik Muhammad probably comes in and plays immediately. I don't know if that's exactly the case. But I think he will play. And Derek Williams, hear me out, okay? Hear me out. If Jalen Ford goes to the draft, I think Derek Williams at 6'2", 185 could be a guy that you play in that nickel linebacker DB role where you're a DB, you're in coverage a lot, but you kind of drop down low. You know, you're that fifth man in cover. I think he could. I
know that he's going to gain weight as far as whenever he steps on campus. So
and
looking at his
185's
185s is going to be out the window. He's probably going to be closer to probably like 200, 205 if I had to assume, which would be, I think, a great size as far as height and weight for that nickel linebacker position.
Yeah, just for reference, Jalen Ford is 6'2", 238. So yeah, and DeMarvion Overshown's 6'4", 224. So yeah, he definitely needs some size on him. But I feel like if you're the young guy, you're probably not gonna go in there and bump. You're probably not gonna bump Jaron Thompson off the safety position. Well, you know what? Michael Taft played a lot of safety for us. So actually, I would say Derek Williams probably comes in and he might get immediate playing time at safety.
Yeah. I mean, I think Malik might be able to practice his way into probably not. He's not going to be the CB1, but he could definitely be the third string or second string, depending on how his practice is and how he gets along with certain people.
Now, I will say there is a Arkansas transfer, and it just has him listed as a DB, so I'm not sure if he's a corner or a safety. Jalen Catalon, who has shown we were recruiting him, and he's a junior he's a junior now, so he's looking at his senior year. And I think they said he is officially going once. Is the dead period over yet? I'm not sure if the dead period's over yet or not. But once that is lifted, he already has a trip to Texas planned. So And I think his girlfriend lives in Austin. He was driving through Austin a couple weeks ago,
Well,
posting
that
about it. So
helps.
yeah, I feel good about getting him. So if he's a safety, then he might come in and Derek Williams sits behind him, but I'm not sure. Um, before I I've got one more 5-star to talk about that's not in the class yet. Before we do that, we'll get into the guy who, according to the sources around recruiting buzz, he thinks that this guy is probably the next one to maybe get a 5th star. And it's kind of odd because he's low on the list. Um, but we flipped him from the terrible program uh, over in Oklahoma with
Ah,
Brent Venables.
I see
We
who you're
call him
talking about.
Choklahoma. Love
Yep.
him. Love to hate him, anyways. Uh, Colton Vosick, right? Edge rusher, 6'5 and a half, 225 out of Westlake. He's right down the road from the campus. He's
Yo.
a he. I'm glad he made the right decision to come to Texas. He's apparently being talked about as somebody who might get their 5th star as an edge rush position. That would help us out quite a bit, considering DeMarvion Overshown was one of our edge rushers this year,
Yeah, he was the
and we're
same way in
gonna
high school too.
Yeah, I mean, and we're losing him. I think Ovia Gofu's probably. I think this was his last year, and he blitzed a lot. So having a guy like Vosick, and the problem is we've got people from last year's class and Ethan Burke. Um, I think Tavadre Sweat released that he is coming back. I'm
Yeah, I
trying to
think he was
remember.
one of the
I'm
ones that
pretty
said he was
sure.
coming back.
I'm trying to remember if he played the end or not.
This guy's got really good height on him as far as being an end guy. Again, he's gonna get his weight up. He'll probably end up being like
Yeah,
250.
yeah,
But I mean, being 6'5", you got to imagine his wingspan is probably like 6'7", 6'8".
I hope so.
Yeah, that'd be nasty as far as being able to get off the tackles to be able to see what's going on in the backfield, and then being able to jump up and bat balls down for sure.
Yeah,
That's
and
he's gonna be nasty.
also, looking now at our transfers, Malik Muhammad may not get as much playing time considering we did get Gavin Holmes out of
No,
Wake Forest. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. The very last guy that we're going to talk about is 5-star tight end Deuce Robinson, who there's been a lot of smoke around lately that he is currently a Texas favorite. I was hoping he'd just go ahead and sign on early signing day. I know it was a far fetched idea, but him and Arch apparently have been super close throughout the whole process. The only issue I'm seeing is that we already have 2 tight ends in this class,
hmm
and they're both 3-stars. I'm not trying to hate on the stars. I'm just saying to take 3 tight ends in a class, that is a lot of roster positions to tight end isn't the position you want to take 3 of. All right. If you want to take 3 receivers, which we did, you take 3 receivers. You want to take 3 DBs, you take 3 DBs. Tight end really isn't the 3. Yeah. Especially when Jatavion Sanders is coming back. We don't need 6 tight ends on scholarship. So
Yeah, I mean he's got
we'll see.
so at the moment right now he has a crystal ball to both Georgia and USC, so it's 50-50 on them. He's also
Deuce
warm on
Robinson.
Alabama and Oregon. Do what?
Deuce Robinson.
Yeah.
How long ago were those put in?
Um,
Because I've been seeing a lot of buzz around Deuce and Arch, Deuce to Texas.
so one of them, the one from USC, is a while ago, but the one for Georgia, there's one on the December 21st, and
Hmm.
then there's 2 on December 29th
That's interesting.
from
That's
3
interesting.
different people. Yeah,
I don't know.
especially because
But
I
you know
remember
what?
reading that tweet to you while we were on the phone about him wanting to team up
Right.
potentially with Arch.
You know
So
what
that
though?
could be a potential
Georgia,
transfer.
Georgia is not the team I would trust with their sources because they were
No.
super confident they were getting Arch. Like
Yeah.
extremely confident. They were confident they were going to get DeAndre Moore Jr. He just signed his letter of intent like last week or whenever that early signing period was. And as soon as he didn't sign to Texas, immediately when we thought he was going to, he's going to Georgia already. I saw things that was like it's basically a done deal to Georgia, and he still ended up going to Texas. So
Yeah.
I don't trust Georgia. I think Georgia likes to put out all the smoke. I think Georgia's game plan is if we put out enough that makes Texas think he's going to Georgia, maybe Texas will back down, and then we can swoop in and be the team that never gave up. So
They just start gaslighting everybody.
yeah, but really, that's all I've got. What are we talking? Maybe 6 or 7 players. They're the biggest name recruits. Obviously, I could go into detail
In
on
this
all of
number
these
3
guys.
ranked class for y'all.
Right. And I mean, there's guys like Trevor Gooseby who I've seen 247 has him listed as 6'6", but I saw one report that said he's closer to 6'8" or 6'9". He's an offensive tackle. You know, Leona Lafau, or it might be pronounced Leonga Lafau. There's no G, but Sark in one of his press conferences said Leonga every single time. So
You better hope that's how it's said.
right, he's a linebacker. He's going to be super important in this class. Darian Gillette, another edge rusher. Man, yeah, this is good. This is a good class, and it's a good springboard off of last year's class. Sark coming in, getting his guys. So hopefully it'll work out well for us. But
Yeah,
that being said,
class.
yeah, love it. And I don't think we're done. I think we'll get one more. If other than Deuce, I think we'll get one more. So I expect a signing day flip. We usually get a flip. It's Texas.
Go off then, man. Go off then. As long as it's not one of us, I'd be happy.
That's the number 1 brand in college football, bro. We're gonna get a flip.
We're about number 50th. We're doing good. We're growing the Baylor community.
Hey, you know what? Out of 131, that's almost top third. So if y'all made it this far, appreciate y'all riding with us. Don't forget to like the video. Leave us a comment on how you think this class is going. What recruit did we miss out on that you really wanted to see? And who do you think we might get that has not signed a letter of intent? Subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that push notification so you don't miss another episode of Lone Star College Football. And give Casey Crutcher a call. We're at 903-948-5195. He is with Rollo Insurance, and he might be able to save you some money on your home, auto, life, health, and business commercial insurance. Bundle them all. See what he can do for you. It's free phone call. Might save you some money. That being said, Logan, appreciate you hopping on here. Until next time, welcome.
Sickle.